Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 46. This industry is all about work, and just because Sundance exposed me to the world, it is my job to stay deserving in that world. The work never ends, the hustle just gets harder, and you get stronger. Gina Rodriguez.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, my indie film hustlers, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Don't forget to head over to freefilmbook.com. That's freefilmbook.com to download your free film audiobook. And today's show is sponsored by Twitter Hacks. How to get 10,000 true fans in 10 weeks. These are techniques that I have created myself and work. So just head over to twitterhacks.com. That's twitterhacks.com to get a special IFH podcast discount. As many of you guys already know, I've been in a lot of film festivals over the course of my career, about almost closing in on 600 film festivals with all my projects I've produced and directed myself. So I have a very unique perspective on film festivals and how to get into film festivals and, you know, the techniques behind that and the psychology behind film festivals, what they can do for you, what they can help you with, and so on. Now, my buddy over at filmfestivalsecrets.com, Chris Holland, we decided to get together and create the ultimate resource for all filmmakers in regards to film festivals, and we're calling it Film Festival Hacks. As you can see, that is a pattern with a lot of the courses and material that I've been putting out lately, but it is a hack. Me and Chris got together and designed this course because we saw a need in the marketplace. There is no course available anywhere online or offline really breaking down what really it takes to get into film festivals, how to use film festivals properly, how to leverage film festivals properly, not to spend tons and tons and tons of money. It's a mystery to most filmmakers. It was to me when I started. And the brilliance of this course that we put together is that we have both sides of the badge, as Chris says. Chris is on the other side. Chris, for you guys who don't know, has been in the behind the scenes at film festivals for the better part of over a decade. And he's been just on the front lines of film festivals, helping filmmakers get their films into film festivals. And when the opportunity came about for us to work together, we thought it would be very interesting to get both sides of the badge. One behind the scenes of what it takes to actually put a film festival together, what film festivals are looking for, how their processes are behind the scenes. And then also the perspective of a filmmaker who's gone through this process so many times and seen what film festivals have actually done for the filmmaker, for films, how we were able to leverage them, how I was able to make money off of them, and then who to spend money on as far as submissions to, who not to. Should we all go to Sundance? Should we all not go to Sundance? All these kind of questions. So we decided to put this amazing course together, and it's over 4.5 hours, a course that we've put together. And honestly, you know, if you're a filmmaker who wants to get into film festivals, this resource is invaluable. I wish I would have had it when I was first starting out. It is so chock full of stuff and so well organized and put together, if I do say so myself. Chris and I really worked hard on this, and I wanted to give you guys a free preview of one of the lectures. Now, this lecture covers how to market your film to film festivals, which is something that filmmakers don't think about because film festivals are a client, they're a customer, they're somebody who wants your product. Your product is your film. So if you don't market your film properly, the chances of you getting into film festivals are nil to none, and you're just going to waste money and so on. So this whole lecture, we talk about that, and it's about 10 minutes long. So it really gives you an idea of kind of the in-depth stuff that we're going to go over in the course itself. So take a listen, and when you come back, I'm going to give you a URL to get a super discount off the course. So get a pad and paper together or an iPad and start taking some notes because there's going to be a lot of knowledge bombs dropped in this sneak preview of Film Festival Hacks. So everyone always talks about marketing your film and marketing how to get it out to the public and get it out to the audiences and how to be able to sell your movie. But the one thing that they don't talk about is that if you're trying to go down the festival circuit, you have to market to film festivals. Film festivals are your customers. So you have to figure out what that customer wants so you can sell them that product, which is your film. And that's so, so important when going down the festival circuit. And that's why so many people waste so much money and so much time waiting. You know, like if you're doing a slasher film and you expect to get in a Sundance for competition, that's probably not going to happen, because I don't remember a slasher film going through Sundance and it's in competition and in the last 20 years. So that's probably not the best thing, but you're killing yourself to try to get to that deadline to submit to Sundance, which I do every season. I get bombarded with films and my post company. Oh, we're running to get out to Sundance. And I look at the movie, I'm like, you really don't have a chance. But with that said, I did that with one movie and it won 2 awards at Sundance, but it wasn't a slasher film. But anyway, so Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's very well said, that, you're in this ecosystem of business and everybody's looking to make, not necessarily money, but they're looking to make something out of the experience. For festivals, they have an audience to serve. They want to put butts in seats. So they're going to pick films that speak to their audience. They also have, the desire to build prestige and credibility for themselves. And, to do that, sometimes they have to defy those audience expectations and program something that maybe the audience isn't going to be into. And they also have sponsors to satisfy, and the sponsors really want to see full theaters. And so all of these things sort of mix together into the festival's list of things that they want from a film. And you need to know that your film is a good fit for that festival if you ever hope to get the film in. A lot of filmmakers resist the idea of simply going to their niche. They got a horror film and they think, oh, our horror film is so special, it transcends the horror genre.
Right.
No, probably not.
I like that. It transcends horror films. I love that.
Well, and every year or so, there is a film that transcends the genre that
but that's the lottery ticket, though, isn't it? That's kind of like, that's the exception, not the rule, and that's what everyone's always sold the lottery ticket, but no one, and everyone always shown the winner of the lottery, but they don't see the millions and millions of people who didn't win the lottery. That's marketing. That's Hollywood, as a general statement. That's
precisely correct. The biggest example from the last decade or so that I can think of is Brokeback Mountain.
Okay.
Brokeback Mountain was an LGBTQ film that happened to transcend that genre and cross over into the mainstream. So for a good, few years after that film came out, there were a lot of films that otherwise would have gone straight to the LGBTQ festival circuit that were submitting to regular old film festivals because they thought they could do the same thing.
But with that film also, you had Ang Lee as the director, you had Heath Ledger, you had Jake Gyllenhaal. So it was an independent, but it wasn't independent.
That's exactly correct. But people took the wrong lesson from it. The lesson they took was, audiences now, will watch, a film that's primarily about the gay experience, and, maybe my film can do that too. So a lot of time and energy and money got wasted for people, sort of pursuing that dream. The same thing happens with, any niche you can think of, whether it's science fiction and horror, whether it's Asian, whatever. I think if you want to be successful, particularly starting out, you need to look at what you've got and make sure that you've got, in startup parlance, you have product market fit. And if you try to break out of that market, don't put all your eggs in that, and make sure that you can go back to your base and that you've got them as your safety school or whatever, before your entire festival run is ruined.
I was watching a documentary the other day about Clerks, which is a very famous Sundance, winner, or I don't even know if it won or not, but it got picked up by Harvey Weinstein in that year. And then the year right after, there was like 4,500 Clerk ripoffs being sent because they're like, oh, well, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, but that was a magical time and that specific thing.
Yep.
And one thing that I think a lot of people don't really get with film festivals is that it's a business. They're in the business of putting asses in seats, because the more asses are in seats, they can get more sponsorships, they can make more money, and they can get more prestige and all that stuff. So one thing I noticed in my festival runs with my films is I had a movie called Broken that had no stars, and it was an action movie. It ran 20 minutes. And then I had a movie right after, a few years later, that had Robert Forster and had Richard Tyson, who is a face that people would recognize, who was in Kindergarten Cop and 3 O'Clock High, and to a certain generational. He's people who they know. He's been in a lot of movies. And I had one of the Bond girls in it. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. And that movie I submitted, and all of a sudden doors opened wider because of the star power. And I realized at that point, I was like, my God, they're not above star power. Of course.
Of course not.
And they're not above it at all. I remember going to Sundance and sitting down in a short film block that they put together. And I saw this horrendous short, it was a guy dressed up as Batman and a guy dressed up as Robin on a date, and how Batman kept hoarding in on Robin. He's like, hey, I'm Batman. You want to go in, all that stuff. If it wasn't for the stars, who were Sam Rockwell and, Justin Lean, the guy who was at the Apple commercials. Justin Long, thank you. Those were the two stars in it. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, if it wasn't for those two guys in it, this would have never in a million years been programmed at Sundance. But there you go. So never underestimate the power, even on a short film, of stars. The more star power you have, the better chances you have of getting asses in seats. And that story that we talked about in a previous lecture about that Oscar winner, guess what? They had a hell of a good festival run because they had an Oscar winner that was their big selling point. Yep. And they had other Oscar nominees in that movie as well. Yep. So never underestimate the power. What are your thoughts about that and your experiences with stars and all that kind of stuff?
Well, two things. I think your Batman and Robin movie, though it probably wouldn't have gotten into Sundance without name actors, it probably would have done fairly well otherwise. Because pop culture parodies are big. Yeah. So
of course.
A lot of that presupposes that you're thinking about festivals and how your film's going to do at festivals when you're producing your film. And that is not the case. I mean, I would wager that's probably not the case for most of the people who are watching this now, right?
Right.
There are people, people don't think about festivals until after they're in it. But for your next film, if festivals are a big part of what you want out of the experience, then maybe you should think about, the subject matter and the people you can get in it, and what sort of already popular things that, it's the indie filmmakers version of franchising, right?
Right.
Hollywood is going to make the sequel to whatever popular thing or comic book or whatever as long as they can, because they know there's a guaranteed audience for it. And the same thing applies to parodies and pop culture references and name actors and all that kind of stuff. There's a built-in audience, so some percentage of festivals are pretty much automatically going to take it. That's part of product market fit. Knowing that and being able to capitalize on that is part of product market fit. Is it artistically, pristine? No, absolutely not. And if you're in it to make the art, you need to make some peace with the idea that your art is going to appeal to fewer people than the Batman parody. That's just the way it is.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think a lot of people have this problem with artists and directors and filmmakers have this general problem of not thinking of their movie like a product. Yep. And at the end of the day, it's a product. You're trying to sell it. Now, if you're trying to make a movie just to express yourself as an artist and you don't really care and you're self-financed and you don't care about making money, then there's definitely places for those kind of movies. But generally speaking, filmmakers want to make money with their movies so they can continue to make movies. So if you start thinking about your movie as a product and then selling that product or marketing that product to film festivals, then you will go farther as a filmmaker, I think, than if you just think of it as art for the art's sake. because that's where I've seen so many filmmakers are like, I'm an artist. I'm like, great. But if you're not a business person or don't understand the marketing aspect of things or understand how this business, because it's called show business, and the word business is longer than the word show for a reason. Without it, you can't move forward as a filmmaker. You have to understand that thing, and then how festivals are part of that plan with selling your product.
Yep, they're your reseller. Festivals are reselling your movie to the end audience, and the reseller has goals too, and your film needs to help them move those goals forward. Generally speaking, it's really hard to make pure art and be a commercial success. So you need to figure out which side of the line you want to be on and how to accomplish that.
So on our next lecture, we're going to talk about researching these festivals, researching how you should attack the festivals as far as how you should submit, who should submit to, what festivals are the right fit for you, like what Chris was talking about, a little bit about product and someone who wants that kind of product and so on. So that's what we'll talk about in the next lecture, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. I hope you guys got a lot out of that little free preview of film festival hacks. A lot of you guys who've been to the site know that I give away a free 6 secrets to how to get into film festivals for cheap or free. And it's something that's really dear to my heart because I know a lot of filmmakers really don't have any idea of actually what to do with festivals and what kind of strategies to put together. What should I spend money on? What shouldn't I spend money on? That I spent over $1,000 on my first short film on submission fees. To a certain point, I just decided, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then I started applying a lot of the techniques in those 6 secrets to get in for free. So as promised, if you guys want to get a huge discount, we're going to be selling it for $97 for the course. But if you guys go to filmfestivalhacks.com, that's filmfestivalhacks.com, you'll get it for $25. So basically, for the price of a film festival submission fee, you get an insane amount of knowledge. So we're going to have it for $25 for probably about 2 weeks or so after the airing of this podcast. So definitely go and run and grab those as soon as humanly possible. So that is filmfestivalhacks.com. And as another bonus, because I'm just handing out bonuses left and right today, Chris has also decided to give you guys a free sneak peek of the course on his podcast as well. So he's going to be giving you a whole other lecture for free on his podcast. And you can find that at filmfestivalsecrets.com/podcast. That's filmfestivalsecrets.com/podcast. Or you can click on the link that I leave in the show notes. Now, a lot of you guys have reached out to me over the months that Indie Film Hustle's been around and asked me, how can I support Indie Film Hustle? How can I help you keep doing what you're doing? And the way I've decided to do that is by creating value, a lot of value for you, as opposed to just asking you to support us and give us money or anything like that. I want to give you something in return, more so than all the free content that I give you, and putting these kind of courses together. I have a whole bunch of courses coming out. We have some big announcements coming up in the next few weeks, and being able to give you even more access, more great value to help you guys on your journey as filmmakers. So by buying these courses that we've been putting out, Film Festival Hacks, Filmmaking Hacks, and Twitter Hacks, that really helps Indie Film Hustle out a lot, helps me out a lot to keep doing this because, guys, I run this entire thing by myself. This entire empire, the entire Indie Film Hustle website and everything, the podcast, I do everything myself. So it's really hard to keep doing this all. So I do need some help. I do need some support to keep all this going as much as humanly possible, because it is a lot of work, guys. Trust me, this is an immense amount of work, especially with the big things that I'm going to be coming up with in 2016. It's even going to get bigger and deeper and harder for me to keep going, but I want to keep this up for you guys. I want to keep giving you all this good quality content. So by helping me out and buying these courses, it really helps support Indie Film Hustle. So thank you guys, as always. And please don't forget to head over to filmmakingpodcast.com and leave us an honest review of the show. It really helps us get the word out on Indie Film Hustle and all the good work that we're trying to do for independent filmmakers. So thanks again, guys. Keep that hustle going. Keep that dream alive. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.